Let me ask you a question. How does a man with no college degree, no famous last name, and no visible business empire end up flying presidents, princes, and billionaires around the world? And why did the system protect him until it suddenly didn't? This is the story of Jeffrey Epstein. And it's darker than most people realize. Jeffrey Epstein didn't build rockets. He didn't invent technology. He didn't start a trillion-dollar company. Yet he lived like someone who controlled the world from the shadows. Private jets. Private islands. Private mansions in the most powerful cities on Earth. And access. Unlimited access. Epstein began as a teacher. Then suddenly, he wasn't. Almost overnight, he became a financial figure moving among elite circles. No clear explanation. No public record of how the fortune was built. Just influence. And influence is more valuable than money. Here's where things get uncomfortable. Epstein wasn't famous for what he did publicly. He was famous for who he knew privately. World leaders. Royal families. Tech billionaires. Media giants. People whose names shape history. And Epstein wasn't just around them. He was trusted. In 2008, everything should have ended. Epstein was charged with serious crimes. Crimes that normally result in decades behind bars. But instead, he received one of the most lenient plea deals in modern history. 13 months. Work release. Private accommodations. And legal protection so strong that even potential co-conspirators were shielded. This wasn't justice. This was immunity. Ask yourself this. Who gets deals like that? Not ordinary people. Not even rich people. Only people who are valuable. After serving his sentence, Epstein didn't disappear. He didn't hide. He didn't retreat from public life. He went right back to flying, hosting, and networking. Almost as if the conviction didn't matter. Almost as if someone was making sure it didn't. Then there was the island. A private location. Cut off from oversight. Surrounded by silence. Years later, survivors began to speak. Not speculation. Not conspiracy. Testimony. Stories that painted a picture far bigger than one man. And once those stories became public, the pressure exploded. In 2019, Epstein was arrested again. This time, the charges were federal. No deals. No favors. No escape routes. For the first time, the walls were closing in. And then, he was found dead in his jail cell. The cameras malfunctioned. The guards were asleep. Protocols were broken. Every safeguard failed. At the same time, officially, it was ruled a suicide. But the timing ensured one thing. Epstein would never testify. And that's why his death changed everything. Because Epstein wasn't just a criminal. He was a gatekeeper. A man who knew where the bodies were buried, metaphorically. And when the gatekeeper vanished, so did many answers. Here's the part most documentaries avoid. The Epstein story didn't end in that cell. The networks didn't vanish. The power structures didn't collapse. The silence didn't break. The spotlight just moved on. Epstein wasn't the disease. He was the symptom. A product of a system where wealth protects itself. Where power circles inward. And where consequences are negotiable. Until they aren't. So when people ask why Jeffrey Epstein still matters, it's not because of how he lived. It's because of how easily he was protected. And how quickly the truth was buried. Because if one man could operate like this for decades, the real question isn't, who was Jeffrey Epstein? The real question is, how many more like him exist right now? Hidden behind money. Protected by power. And waiting for the world to look away.